Yeah. Is Minnie coming over?
Yep. Be right there. Right here. Yeah.
On over. 1, 2, 3.
Tonight.
It's a pretty short one. That's okay. We are learning up from 1 Nephi chapter 13, verse 12. Yeah. Who was the man Nephi saw, whom the Spirit wrought upon to go forth upon the many?
What does wrought upon?
Wrought is to kind of work on or to make a change.
Yeah.
Mommy.
So,
Not even sure what the
Mama.
present tense
how did you say? Define
to work to.
wrought. Work. To work upon. They used to be when you would wrought on a metal.
Yeah, baby.
It's beaten out or shaped by hammering. So yeah,
Hammering.
hammering. Hammer.
What's present tense for hammering? I thought you said hammering.
No, okay. Yeah. So here's the verse we're reading tonight. And I looked and beheld a man among the Gentiles who was separated from the seed of my brethren by the many waters. Many waters being the ocean.
Is that a lot of waters?
Yeah.
And I beheld the Spirit of God, and that it came down and wrought upon the man, and it worked upon the man. And he went forth upon the many waters, even unto the seed of my brethren, who were in the promised land. And where's the promised land?
We're in the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
So Utah is not specific.
Some say. But yes, the Americas was the promised land. So, who was this, you think? So it was a Gentile.
Do you know what a Gentile is?
Someone who is not part of a religion. What's a religion?
Not necessarily. In this,
What's a religion? In this case, specifically the Jewish
belief or
religion.
faith or thing that we
Well,
do.
Gentile specifically
church
means not Jew. It's
Part of
not
that
just
religion, Christianity,
not a
followers
believer.
of Jesus.
So it's like not
I mean, not Jewish. And not
Well,
necessarily
not
from our
necessarily
church.
that, but
Not of Jewish descent.
Descent.
Their
What
great grandparents were not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
What does descent mean?
descendants, descent.
To-
You're,
So you guys would be our descendants.
yeah, people that were born after you.
And you are also descendants of Bobo and Grandpa and Granny and Grandpa.
Right.
So on and so forth.
Yep. So, do you guys know who might be
Grandpa.
moved by the Spirit of God and who was moved by the Spirit of God to cross the many waters to come find us? Or come find this
Come find the
land?
Americas. Have to be someone. Would he be in America already?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay, so you can't be in America. Where would be across many waters from?
Americas.
England, Asia, Africa, that big land mass.
Europe.
We're all right. China is across from America.
Okay, so it'd have to be someone over there.
Or you said, and then Sam said Europe or Africa.
I
That
said
big one.
England specifically.
Yes.
Europe.
Europe, Africa, or Asia.
Yeah. Those are the ones
He
that
named two continents in a country. And by the country, he meant continent.
But yeah. So
A teeny tiny country.
who in history, who would cross the waters? that weren't Jews, because we had Jews that did. We had the Nephites.
Right, so
or
this would be like long after the
And
Nephites.
things like Lemon and Lemuel made
Long after them.
long after that. They came with
Christopher
Nephi.
Columbus did.
Right? This is going to be someone who is separated from the seed of
My
Nephi
brother.
and Laman and Lemuel.
Yep, and Sam said it. Christopher Columbus.
Who's Christopher Columbus?
Nephi saw that the Holy Ghost would inspire Christopher Columbus to make his famous voyage to the Americas. On March 14th, 1493, so that was only, about 600 years ago instead of 2,600 years ago.
5,
What?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 500 years ago. Yeah.
This was almost 15.
Right.
But
Instead of
we're now like 20 years into the 20th.
Right.
so-
Anyway, Columbus wrote of the voyage. These great and
What's a
marvelous.
voyage?
That's a journey,
Long trip.
usually by boat. But these great and marvelous results are not to be attributed to any merit of mine. For that which the unaided intellect of man could not compass, the Spirit of God has granted to human exertions. For God is wont to hear the prayers of his servants, who love his precepts, even to the performance of apparent impossibilities. What'd you say, Maylee? Okay, looked like you were starting talking.
Was kicking her foot and making
Yeah, she said there's something. Anyway, so, but yeah,
This pleasure trip.
Columbus was saying he convinced royalty to kind of fund the trip because it's usually expensive to take trips like that. And he felt like he was moved by the Spirit of God to try something that was really difficult. Because most people, when they would sail, they didn't like to sail too far away from land because it was kind of scary.
Because what happens if you sail too far away from land and you don't find land?
Then you're stuck on the sea.
You're stuck on the sea, and what would probably happen to you?
You either A, starve, or B, drown.
Well, you
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have resources, right?
So back in that time, people would actually sail around Africa, around the bottom of Africa, and go up to get to India.
Why?
Because that was the
Because
way they
you
knew
could
how to
keep
get
going
there.
back to shore.
Yeah, it wasn't too hard. You could follow the coast kind of Africa, and then you can make your way around that land, and then make your way up towards and make your way to India
And it was faster and easier to sail a boat than
to walk.
to walk all that way.
Yep, especially if you wanted to transport a lot of goods like products or materials or things you wanted to sell or buy or trade.
That was a long distance.
It was a very long distance, but
They had right
and it was
now.
dangerous.
Yeah. So, but Columbus had an idea of like, hey, what if we could sail away and go around and go
Around.
go around instead of going around Africa, just go around the world to India.
But guess what was in the way?
What was in the way?
America.
Yeah.
America.
An entire landmass of 2 continents.
So this,
That's a lot.
I think this shows us a good example that people can be moved upon by the Spirit, even if they're not a direct member of a church, our church, or whatever. As long as they were trying to be close to God and listen to the Spirit, you can receive help and sometimes be inspired to do great things.
And they're not always like church type things, right? There's things like, oh, well, I feel like I would be inspired to teach something in church or do something church things. Like, he went on a boat.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like a church thing.
Do you know?
But Heavenly Father will still inspire us.
You know-
That's like teachers teach them. Like,
Well, you know President Eyring in the first presidency.
He speaks sometimes at conference.
He speaks at conference.
Mom,
Did you know his dad was a scientist? And he worked really hard to discover new theories and in chemistry, and he did really good work. And he said he actually used the Spirit of God to help him discover new things in science.
What did he discover?
Let's see. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, try to.
Contribution was the study of chemical reaction rates.
Which means how fast chemical reactions happen.
He won a lot of awards. He was, yeah. Let's see.
Was that the only thing he did?
The only thing is a big thing he did.
The only thing he did was contribute to science.
Right. He
That's
changed the way people did chemistry for forever.
What are you doing? My body is not just like a toy for you.
Absolute rate theory, or transition state theory of chemical reactions. One of the most important developments of 20th century chemistry. That's not an all he did kind of thing. Explain.
Anytime when you say the most important, one of the most important developments of 20th century chemistry, it's kind of a big deal.
It is.
Yeah, kind of.
So, I think it's a good lesson to know that the Spirit can help you with things that aren't just religious. It can help you with anything that's good. And, it can be kind of seem impossible too.
Yeah, obviously not like stealing, murdering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so one of the things it wasn't over the summer, it was like back in September, there was a video that went around on Facebook of this guy. You see a police officer, he's driving down the freeway and he sees a car that's on a railroad tracks. And the police officer, he pulls off to the side, and the guy had like a seizure or something had happened to him that he like wasn't conscious, and the train was coming, right? It was going to hit his car. And the police officer grabs him and pulls this guy out of the car like 2 seconds before the train hits the car, right? Like just barely. And so it made the news, right? Because it was kind of a big deal. But one of the things that really struck me about this story is they talked to the train driver who was driving, this train. And he said, every day when I get up, I pray that everyone on my train and around my train, that we will be kept safe, right? That everything will be able to go well. And he was like, that day, there were weird things that went wrong, right? That his train was running behind, and he's like, my train is never running behind. I know what time I need to go to get to the places, but I don't remember. Electricity was out. There were just weird things that prevented him. And if those things hadn't prevented him, there's no way that this man who'd had this, medical problem would have been saved. He would have totally gotten hit by the train, and it would have probably killed him and probably hurt some people on the train, damaged the train,
Trains are very expensive.
But because he took that stewardship of just driving a train, right? That's his job. He could just be like, it's just my job. This isn't a church thing. I don't need to be praying about this. But because he did, people were saved because of that.
Question.
It was just a good reminder to me that when we're praying, it doesn't have to be about, eternal salvation types of things. Just, if you drive a train, no, but things happened so that man was able to be pulled out of the car before the train hit it.
Okay. So let it be written.
Let it be done.
Wait, I haven't
Dun, dun,
even
dun.